Welcome back, players. I'm Jack with 36 Cancel, and this is Coco the Weiss Cat. And with 2 months gone from 2021 and snow falling on my rooftop, it's time for the Weiss Schwarz winter update from Coco and I. Now, normally, this would encompass not only January and February, but also the 2020 months after my fall update. However, like I said in my 2020 review, not much happened in the last months of that accursed year. On top of that, I've already covered 2020 to the extent that I want to, and I have very little desire to revisit those events. So in this winter update, I'm only going to cover January and February. Now, that might not seem like a lot, but a surprising amount has happened since we escaped from 2020. There have been a whole new round of product announcements, multiple Bushiroad events, a player survey, and a few developments in the community. So let's dig right into it. First, let's talk about the releases. A month ago, Fate Grand Order Babylonia was released in English. This made the third Fate spin-off set that wasn't legal to play with the base Fate sets, joining Fate Apocrypha and Fate Prisma Ilia. And if you think that's confusing, wait until you see the source material. However, Babylonia certainly doesn't need to stand on the shoulders of giants to rise above the competition. The set has very strong finishers, a solid standby deck, amazing zeros, and of course, waifus everywhere. Whether you want to build a deck around Rin phases, Machu, or Big Sister Quetzalcoatl, you can make it all happen with Babylonia. I actually just dropped a deck tech on the standby deck that I've been testing out. The link will be in the description. Then, a few days ago in February, 2 sets dropped at once. First, Magia Record, the set based on the mobile game, arrived in English about 3 months after its mobile game in the West stopped service. But unlike Fate, this new expansion based on totally different source material but taking place in the same universe, I think, is legal to play with the original Modica. It even features new early plays that bond with strong events from the base Modica set. And not just that, it packs some serious finishers and punishing events. Punishing for who? Well, that depends on what you find on top of your deck. Also, despite being legal to play with existing Modica sets, this new expansion features its very own trial deck. But anyway, while the new Modica is a mile ahead of the old Apples combo I first saw when I started playing, it's not even the last Modica set coming out this year. Stick around and we'll talk about that. But first, there was another set that came out in February, the ReZero Frozen Bond Extra Booster. Legal to play with every ReZero product, the Frozen Bond Extra Booster gives ReZero players a chance to add green to their otherwise 3-color palette. Amelia and Puck are the centers of this Extra Booster, and they offer ReZero new early plays, a new suite of good zeros because the title totally needed those, and a few new finishers with cool twists. The set is keyworded mostly to Amelia and Puck though, and while Amelia does constitute several strong parts of the existing ReZero suite, only time and games will tell how players integrate this new toolkit into meta decks, reject it entirely, or ditch the maids and embrace the elf girl and her magic dog. The set also features promotional going first and going second cards featuring Amelia, Puck, and Amelia using Titan Hardening. Do you think she can hear Annie in there? Anyway, that was January and February, but today we're in March, and as we look into the near future, we've got a huge looming shadow on the horizon. Date A Live, after much fanfare, is coming to English, and while the set has been out for a good while in Japan, players have been absolutely begging Bushiroad to port it over, and this isn't just because of how popular the title is. Date A Live in Weiss is an absolute monster. It's widely considered one of the strongest sets ever printed, and has the cards to back it up. I already talked about a few of them in my fall update when the set was announced, but with Date A Live, it's tough to narrow the set down to only a few. The thing is, and what makes players so excited about this new set, is that on a card-by-card basis, the text printed on the average Date A Live card is just better. Does it totally blow everything else out? No, not entirely, but if you ask many of the seasoned players and other Weiss content creators, they have a strong belief that Date A Live will be the monster in the meta. There's even discussion on whether or not Date A Live will be the set that finally makes Bushiroad introduce a banned or restricted list in the English game. Either way, at this point, pre-orders are sold out, so all we can do is sit and wait for the meteor to come crashing down. Now, after Date A Live drops like a boulder into a puddle, another set's just ahead. Magia Record, this time the set based around the anime, comes out on the 23rd of April. Modica as a title is finally getting the full suite that's been available to Japanese fans for the series. As for the anime set, however, unlike the mobile game set, which has a huge emphasis on events, backward-compatible tech, and finishers, the Magia Record anime set introduces tools for memory compression, awesome early plays, including a back row support early play that heals and memory compresses, a level 1 combo that both searches and salvages, and a level 3 that lets you do 2, 3, or 4 damage just outright based on what you choose to do. Oh, and a red event that deals 50 damage. You know, just the basics. Real talk, with the anime and mobile game set, this is a serious upgrade to the existing Modica sets, which, while they had some excellent cards here and there, have lacked the shell to really make them viable long term. It's unlikely that these new additions will put Modica in the S tier of competitive decks, however, it definitely packs the tools to put them back on the map in a big way. Magia Record isn't the only set coming out that features happy little girls and colorful worlds though, because on the 21st of May, Bofuri, I Don't Want to Get Hurt So I'll Max Out My Defense, is being released. Bofuri is a pretty interesting set though, and has a lot of tools to to explore. The title features a double standby package in the base set, super hard-hitting finishers, and a lot of undercosted good effects to utilize, including a good Musashi that effectively only costs 1 stock. The Level 0 suite also features unique tech that plays differently than other recent releases, so that's pretty neat. And while there are a few ways to build the set, Mabel appears in all colors, and the tools she has that are unique to each color carry different flavors and strengths. Seemingly, this hinges on whether or not you choose to build Mabel with the finishers that focus on Mabel being Jesus, an alien, or Leonidas. Some of them seem to be able to combine smoothly, while others definitely take more micromanagement. But in red, yellow, and blue, Mabel has strong focuses with her friends that will let you build Beaufry in many different styles. Now moving right along to June, this summer, Kaguya Love is War is hitting the stage on the 25th. Kaguya was an extremely popular choice that the community wanted Bushiroad to release in the West, and they delivered. It was a very popular show, and people are going to love playing out the War of Love on the Weiss Schwarz stage. As for the set itself, Kaguya has a lot of strong elements. First off, it has some of the strongest level zeros I've seen in a long time, including a drop searcher that returns to your hand when you play a climax to synergize with the set's double standby toolkit. But really, the thing that stands out about Kaguya is the Chica stuff in yellow. It's worth noting that for the longest time before I watched a few episodes, I thought Chica was the main character based on how much she appeared in popular culture. In the set, however, Chica has several amazing cards in yellow, including a calling card-esque event and level 0 combo, a level 1 combo where you can choose whether or not to send a cost 0 in the front row to the waiting room or give her on reverse search, and much more. Yellow also has double choice to work with, in case that's your jam. In red, Kaguya has some great level 0 tools, a double burn 1 and healing finisher, a standby combo, and plenty of other cool tech. It's worth mentioning that the standby kit has 2 climaxes to work with, and plenty of supporting tech for that strategy in blue. Aside from all this, the set has some great early plays, strong events, and multiple ways to build your deck. And if you're a Chica fan, worry not, because she's the premier choice for a lot of good stuff in Kaguya. The clock is ticking though, so get those pre-orders in. Anyway, the last set we have an announced date for is Heaven's Feel Volume 2. Fate's Day Night Heaven's Feel has 3 movies to illustrate the best route in the original Fate novel, and each one is probably going to have its own Weiss Schwarz set. Of course, since this is base Fate, HF Volume 2 will be legal to play with all the existing Fate sets that aren't the 3 weird ones. Now, one interesting thing about this is the set will actually simul-release with Kaguya, both sets hitting the shelves on the 25th of June. It seems weird that Bushiroad will be pairing 2 huge titles together in one release, but the thing about Heaven's Feel is the set just isn't great, like, at all. Compared to Heaven's Feel Volume 1, the tools are just not there. The text on these cards just is not as good as the other Fate stuff, which is a damn shame because the second movie was awesome, but sadly, the cards are not. When you look at a lot of these cards, you'll find that the finishers are hard-hitting but expensive and inconsistent, the level 1 combos are barely better than trial deck stuff, the events are okay but you need to run a lot of support for them, and the level 0s are just worse than other zeros featuring the same characters from other sets. However, the set does have a reprint of Silver Thread Alchemy Ilya in it, as the only reprint that I know of, which also comes in a foil version. So, yeah. You know, it would have been cool if they had put in a few more reprints if they were going to do that, but as for the rest of the set, I'm just not impressed. Well, that's the end of the stuff we've got dates for, but a lot of this was old news anyway. It's time to look at the new titles that were announced during Bushiroad's Weiss Schwarz Week, a community outreach event that we'll talk about a bit later. But this is where Bushiroad decided to announce their mid to late year titles, so let's check them out. Now, one thing of note, Bushiroad hasn't actually put a ton of info up on their main page about these new announcements, so yeah, this is mostly just going to be info about the titles. First up, Bushiroad announced that Bang Dream would be getting its first Extra Booster set, featuring a crossover between the newest band to hit English, Reza Sullian or something, and Morphonica, a rich girls' school violin rock band. I wanted to say that Bushiroad is scraping the bottom of the barrel here, but we all know that the Bang Dream barrel has no bottom. It has a Trial Deck Plus though, which is cool. After that, Bushiroad announced 2 sequel sets the players have been looking for. First, they announced Alicization Volume 2, War of Underworld. This is great news for SAO fans who liked Alice, but found the first set to lack the options that were so spread across the many other SAO sets that didn't play nice with it. And also some great news for new players who want to get into SAO, because we'll have some awesome new toys to play with. The set also features Overframe rares as a special rarity, which look amazing. I hope they introduce these in more coming sets. Also, for those of you who are fans of the original Asuna and Kirito pairing, Alice Volume 2 has some serious new tools for you, including a pure Kirito level 1 advantage combo, and yet another Asuna that carries that Mill 11 combo. And second, with the second season airing as we speak, That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime Volume 2 is coming to English shortly after its Japanese release. And since then, there have been a few spoilers. We have several new level 1 combos. There's a Shizu that lets you top check 4 on attack, and then discard bonds with a new event that gives plus 500 power from memory, and top checks for a character. There's a Shion that's pure on-attack salvage as well, and there's a new Shuna that has a Bunny Girl Union effect, but is also a level 1 reverser. So, that's a thing now. And as for finishers, the set introduces a Milim that lets you play a 3-5 event for 2 stock that lets you put cards directly from your opponent's deck into their clock, bypassing normal damage effects. And a Rimuru that heals, goes to memory, and lets you play a card, including himself, to replace him from the waiting room as a pseudo-restander. Overall, the set looks to have powerful new choices and a lot of the same things we love about Slime already, like memory compression and non-interactable advantage. I'll definitely be putting some pre-orders in. That is, after I finish my new computer, which is turning into quite the albatross of a project. Now finally, Bushiroad announced a totally new title that looks to be their next English original set. The 7 Deadly Sins anime is coming to Weiss Schwarz. Yeah, you heard that right. 7 Deadly Sins. Who'd have thought? Despite the show enjoying massive Western popularity, notably topping Netflix and Crunchyroll on occasion, and currently airing its 5th season, Bushiroad was somehow able to negotiate the rights and make this beloved ongoing series a Weiss Schwarz title. Now, as for the style and content, it's definitely one of those shows that rise the line between Western cartoon and anime, with the art and story appealing both to Japanese and Western audiences. I'm very interested to see how this translates onto Weiss cards, though if I'm being honest, I imagine it'll look a lot like Fairy Tail. No matter what though, I'm sure a ton of people are waiting with bated breath to hear more about this. Unfortunately for those people, this is all I have about future releases. Not that it wasn't a lot, but we need to move on. Let's talk about events. So kicking off at the start of March, Bushiroad is bringing back the Springfest Shop League challenges. Now we don't have any word on whether or not they'll be hosting the summer events yet, but these new shop tournaments are all single tournament shop level battles for some neat promo cards. The winners will also receive points that will be tallied up at the end of the season to give even more promo cards, some with hot stamps. However, Bushiroad says that all participants will get the base promos as well as an official dice bag. I don't know how exactly the prizes at the end of each season are going to work, but I sure hope it's not like the promos that we were supposed to be able to hand in last year, because I still have these priestesses. Anyway, there are 2 seasons for this shop league. The first starts in March and runs through April, and the second starts in May and runs through June. It's also noted that game stores, if closed, can choose to host these tournaments by webcam or Discord, so I'd start checking around at your local game stores. Now aside from this, Bushiroad also hosted Weiss Schwarz Week from the 22nd to the 28th of February. Weiss Schwarz Week was where we got a lot of these announcements we went over, but also had some player-focused events. Bushi held a deck-building workshop where they showcased their new deck for ReZero Frozen Bond, a few giveaways, a gunslinger match, and on the final day, a 32-person tournament. In the gunslinger match, a random player out of several entrants who submitted deck lists was given the opportunity to play against a staff member piloting a community-constructed deck of fake Grand Order Babylonia. On that day, the player was Sephiroth 30001 piloting Meta Slime. His deck profile was posted on the Discord, and it looks pretty much like what we'd expect from a strong slime deck, lots of memory compression, and very little interaction across the table. Though he is playing the Milim finisher as a 1-up instead of the Rimuru top end. Slime being a primary pick for this gunslinger match is no surprise to anyone, as Slime is widely favored to be very strong in the upcoming meta. As for the 32-person tournament, Bushiroad posted the first place and a finalist deck. The finalist was Adventure Time's Standby, piloted by Serio Tenon. It features the Remember You combo and finisher, lots of Ice King stuff, the Science Standby combo with a few juicy targets, the Jake early plays, and even the Lich level 3. It was pretty neat. The winner for the tournament was Tyler Smith, aka Weiss Schwarz, piloting a new and totally revamped Konosuba deck aptly named Early Play Go Brrr. While the deck features a lot of what we're used to, with Seizure of Private Property, the Aqua early plays, Powered Up Explosion Megamine, and the Decompressing Aqua, the shell was completely changed. Instead of the normal Magic and Adventure, Mid-Game, and Zero, Weiss Schwarz instead opted to use the Darkness shell from the Konosuba movie set. This features her on-attack advantage combo, the level 0 pitch salvager, and the combined Darkness Vanir early play. He even threw in a classic Darkness early play from set 1. I absolutely adore this new take on Konosuba, and if it means I see more Darkness across the table, I see this as an absolute win. Congratulations to Sephiroth, Serio, and Weiss Schwarz for getting your decks posted by Bushiroad staff and taking the trophies for Weiss Schwarz Week. Anyway, with Bushiroad's latest events out of the way, it's time to move on to community news. And first on the agenda, Bushiroad's got a little announcement. There's going to be some changes around SPs, at least for 2 upcoming sets. To quote Bushiroad, in regards to Kaguya-sama and Heaven's Feel Volume 2, for both titles, the handwritten quotes, character names, and voice actor signatures have been replaced by design quotes, character names, and design elements unique to the titles. Effectively, the signs are now stamps. Now, this is a move popular with pretty much nobody on its surface. Obviously, VA signatures are a huge fucking deal for weebs, and a big reason why they collect stuff. And if you take that away from Weiss cards, well, that makes them a lot less desirable to a big part of the crowd. So why would Bushiroad do this? Well, they've given no official reason, but it's widely speculated that the license to the voice actor signatures were just too much, After all, these are big IPs, and Bushiroad having to pay to license them as well as the signatures is a pretty steep cost, especially when you consider that they often have to pay twice if they're porting a set to English. It's going to take some time to see how this will affect card sales and people's attitude towards the new sets. It's also unclear at this point if this is going to become a pattern or just a one-time thing. However, one bright side of this could be that if Bushiroad has to pay less in licensing fees, moving more popular titles over to the West, especially one with big-name VAs, could be a lot more viable in the future. And if that's the case, it seems like a small price to pay, but there's really no way of knowing. Now, one other piece of community news before I wrap this up, and unfortunately, a giant has fallen. It's with great sadness that I bring you the news that popular card vendor JKTCG is closing its doors for good. Day Live will be their last release, and their operations, both physical and online, will cease sometime in April. Now, I normally try not to name specific unofficial Discords or online vendors on the channel because I want to keep things neutral and not recommend one entity over another. But now that JK is closing its doors, I'll say that I did a lot of business with them, and I was always very satisfied with my experience as a customer. I've pre-ordered several sets from them, made a ton of single orders, and seen them a lot around the community. They were always very quick, very professional, and pretty reliable. I'll be very sad to see them go. It's worth mentioning also that JK was a huge standard bar for the secondhand market card prices, and when they removed their card prices come April, prices that the community accepts for sales, especially on places like Discord or Facebook Marketplace, could be in for a shakeup. Whatever happens, I'd like to thank JKTCG for all they've done to make Weiss Schwarz available to the English community. The 6 years of service you provided were a treasure, and Coco and I wish you and your staff the best going forward, no matter where your adventure may take you. As for us though, we're going to keep covering Weiss Schwarz and playing as much as we can. Even with only 2 months past, a lot of exciting things have happened so far. We did end on a bit of a sour note, but I really didn't want to bury the news in a good bad good sandwich like so many corporate managers do. I've always hated that. All that aside though, the year's looking pretty promising so far. Springfest is back on, we've got tournaments and promotional events to play in, and a lot of popular sets are on the horizon. Here's to winter 2021, and may the rest of the year bring us a lot of good things for Weiss Schwarz. And as always, thanks for watching. Peace.